Am I on?
Yep.
Hi, welcome everybody to In Air's Kitchen. After a week back, we're finally figuring out how to stream on YouTube again, so we're on time today. Clementine's my camera person. Brooke's got to run out to get some feed for the chickens because they're running low. And we're going to make, you're good to go, Clem's going to film.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're going to make heirloom tomato pizza. So I was thinking about this week and all of my favorite things to make with tomatoes when they're in season. I thought we should try to make some pizzas. And we've been doing pizzas on Friday. Back when we were doing the show every single week, we did different pizzas every Friday. So I'm not going to show you how to make the dough today. You can go back to a previous episode. We had a very quick pizza dough that you can make in like 30 minutes. We had overnight pizza dough, which is a little more flavorful and really amazing and delicious. We had a sourdough pizza dough, which is out of this world. And the dough I'm working with today is sort of a hybrid dough, but you could use any of those pizza doughs to make this pizza. But like I said, we're not going to go back and go through the whole dough making process. I'm going to assume you've got some dough made. So we're starting at that spot. We get dough, we've got a hot oven, and I was thinking it'd be fun to show you a few different ways I like fresh tomatoes on pizza. So we're going to do one method where we use cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes have a lot of sugar in them, really sweet. They have a lot of skin relative to the tomato. We're going to slice those up and arrange them in a really pretty way on the pizza, probably with some squash. I just going to make some flowers or herbs I just got from the garden. Another pizza that we're going to do is going to be a really traditional pizza with mozzarella. I've got some fresh mozzarella here, and I have some beautiful heirloom tomatoes, so that's a second style. The last style is we're going to build off of the tomato canning we were doing yesterday, and this row of tomatoes from my garden, I only have one, so we're going to supplement it with a couple from down the street, and we're going to peel these and whiz them up and make a very simple fresh tomato sauce out of these. So those are the pizzas we are going to make today. And we're going to make a pizza. I set this one up already, but I'll show you how I do this. But we're going to make a pan pizza. So this is a style pizza. It's actually going to be a little bit thick, and it has quite a bit of olive oil, so it's almost cooking in the olive oil. I love this kind of pizza. It's awesome if you're experimenting with fresh wheat. If you're doing 100% fresh ground wheat and you're not filtering it out at all, it can be hard to make that stretchy kind of dough that you need for a thinner crust, but it can work really, really well for this style because it's really well supported. So this dough here is a very high hydration dough. This is like 80% hydration, and if you don't know what that means, go back and watch the bread shows and you'll get up to speed, but it's a wet dough. There's a lot of water in it. It's also very high percentage, not quite 100%, but it's probably about 80% fresh wheat. So there's a little bit of bread flour in here, but most of it is fresh wheat. And this would probably be a very difficult dough for me to make into a round pizza, but it works really, really well for this style. So this is a great style of pizza to do if you're playing around with fresh wheat. Let's make one of the pizzas up. So I'm going to get a sheet pan. So this is a really standard sheet pan, and I think it's nice to have the sides on the sheet pan. You can see I'm drizzling some olive oil on the sides. What I want to do is I want to get a really good coating of olive oil. This does a few things. So one thing is that it will hopefully allow the pizza to release more easily, because these very wet pizzas, sometimes they get very sticky to the pan. And that's because the water becomes a really good vehicle for the starch from the wheat. And that starch can create almost like glue connection to the pan. So the oil is going to help prevent that glue connection and allow the dough, hopefully, to come off pretty easily when it's done. So that's one thing that the oil is going to do for us. But it's going to do more than that, because oil, when you cook with oil, it becomes a conductor of heat. And so if you didn't have the oil there, you would have bubbles between the dough and the pan, the pan's going to get hot. Metal's a really good conductor of heat. And if you had bubbles there, you would have air gaps. Air is not a very good conductor of heat. So you'd have areas where the pizza wasn't cooking very evenly. And when we put this oil in here, we're going to let the bottom of the dough all cook really well and have good contact with heat. And that's going to be important for this pizza because it's a pretty thick dough, and we're going to want to make sure it all cooks thoroughly. I don't know if those of you who watched the bread episodes remember I spent time talking to Richard, and he was talking about popcorn and how when we make popcorn, we create these stable gels, and it's part of the delight of popcorn. And we want to create these stable gels in our bread as well. If you don't cook it long enough or thoroughly enough, you don't get to that spot. So the oil is going to help us in this configuration, getting to that spot. So let's see. I'm reaching into some of my dough here. So this is an unusual dough. I don't think anybody's going to make a dough like this at home, but I'll just tell you what it is for those of you who are curious and a little bit nerdy about the dough. What I did here is I made this last night, so you can see it's a pretty high hydration dough. I made this last night, and I used a lot of fresh wheat. I didn't have any sourdough starter left, but I had allowed my previous sourdough starter to dry completely, just in an open bowl in the kitchen, and it got cakey, and I broke it up and I whizzed it in the blender, and it became a powder. I'll show you. It looks like instant yeast. It's not. I keep it in the fridge. So here it is. So this is my, and it smells like the sourdough. This is my starter. This is a sourdough starter that's dried out naturally in the air of my kitchen, and then I blended it up. And so I added some of that into my bread, into my flour, and then I mixed it up and kneaded it. And so this is sort of a sourdough, but it's from a dry starter. I also added a little bit of a commercial yeast, not a lot, but a little bit of commercial yeast. So this is a combination of those two things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and dump this on my pan. And I have very wet hands because it will probably stick to my hands otherwise. And you can see it's pushing that oil out of the way. And I'm going to work this with my fingertips, but that's not going to be sufficient. I'm going to have to hold it a little bit in the corners and let it adjust itself to this new shape. And you can see all these little, these long bands of gluten, and you can see them relaxing and releasing a little bit as I do that. And we're hoping to reshape this to match up with this sheet pan. It's pretty fun, huh?
Yeah.
It's got a really pillowy, fun feeling, and Violet's enjoying. And I'm just trying to make sure that it covers the pan as much as possible.
His pipe's really wow.
So this is a similar thing to when we have a round pizza that we're starting with a ball and making it bigger and bigger. It's just that this is a different shape, and it's also a different kind of dough. So here, Vi, don't pinch on it too much. You can get your hands washed though, and you can help me with what I'm doing. Wash them out. You can help me with this. We don't want to pinch too much because we want to leave the bubbles in there. Okay.
Okay.
So you can see it's starting to adapt to its new shape. It needs a little more encouragement on the corners. And you're seeing all those flecks in there. Those are flecks of bran because we ground this wheat fresh for this pizza. Okay, and it's a nice wet dough, and it sat overnight, and I flipped it a few times. This is an unusual dough. I'm not expecting anybody to make this exact dough at home. This is like a more advanced experimental dough. But any of the doughs that we've made already in Eric's kitchen will work really well for this. All right, so this is good. This is in a good spot right now. We're going to put a little bit of oil on the top of it. Alright, so that's good. And I'm just going to spread that oil around a little bit. And you can see I'm working with gentle fingers. I don't want to tear at it too much. I like the bubbles that are in there. I don't want to lose them. I like the structure that's developed. I don't want to lose it too much. And so we're going to let this sit now, and it's going to proof a little bit longer. I'm going to go ahead and grab the other one. So this one was the same thing, but I did that earlier. I did that well before the show, and so you can see it's already relaxed a bit, and it's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put some oil on it. Alright, so... Okay, I'm just spreading the oil around on the pizza dough a little bit. Looks awesome. Okay, now we're going to move on to getting some toppings ready for it. So, Violet, do you remember how we were cutting those little X's in the tomatoes yesterday?
Yes, I do remember that.
Would you like to try and do so?
Sure.
All right. Here you go. Right here. So, this is the one from our own garden, which is super exciting for me. I wish I had enough to do them all with my own tomatoes, but you want to go ahead and get some of those other ones? Nice job, Violet. One more.
Sauce. Hot sauce.
You're a good tomato crosser. Nice job.
How do we do the cross?
Well, the cross gives the tomato a little bit of direction about where to create its split, its cracks. So you can see these tomatoes are starting to peel really nicely, and they're peeling right along that slit. So that one's perfect. This one's ready to come out.
That was quick.
Yeah. Probably that was the second one. Maybe I'll give it another few seconds in there.
Don't feel really nicely.
You want to go get that blender top over there, Violet?
Sure. Is that?
Yeah. The whole canister.
Minor top.
Alright, so these tomatoes are ready to go.
Can I help you?
Yeah, it might be a little hot. So just
It's very hot.
is it? Somehow the lid really got stuck. There we go.
Yeah, I know. It gets stuck on the blade sometimes.
So it is a little bit hot. So I'm like, it's a little on the border of what I can handle, but I just barely handle it. There we go. Oh, now, yeah, last one to get out. So, making a sauce with fresh tomatoes doesn't take too much time, but you do have to boil water in order to do it. So if you're in your kitchen, it's the kind of thing you can get some water going, and it's not that laborious. But if you're starting from scratch and you don't have the water boiling yet, it does sort of add that time. I'm using the water to cool the tomato because this one just came out and it'd been there longer than the others. It was just a little bit too hot for me. All right, that's ready to go. And so I've just put these 3 tomatoes in my blender. Now, some people would advocate to take the seeds out of these. You may get a little bit of bitterness from the seeds. I feel like it's just fine to leave them in there. So I'm not going to take them out, but that is something that you could do. So I've just got 3 tomatoes in here, and scoot behind you, sweetie. So go ahead and put them on the blender base here. giving these a quick whiz in the blender. So this is just tomatoes with a little bit of salt. And yum. Yes, yum. Alright, so that's going to be a tomato sauce for a pizza. Now, should we move on to the cherry tomato pizza then?
Sure.
Yep, we're gonna make one with tomato sauce, and then we're gonna make one with half heirloom tomatoes and half cherry tomatoes.
What are we gonna have on them?
What are they gonna have on them?
Yeah.
Cheese, cherry tomatoes. This one I'm not even sure we'll put cheese on. This one might just be
We've
cherry.
got some really pretty squash and peppers from our
Yeah.
garden.
So, do you want to help me with
Yes.
toppings? So, we can put them in like a nice grid. Does that sound like fun?
Yeah.
Here you go. You can help. You can be the placer of the grid. You make any pattern you want. We're gonna just put these on half of this. Yeah, we're just gonna put these on half of it, okay? So cherry tomatoes are really sweet compared to other tomatoes. They have a lot more skin, surface area of skin. So you want to take that into account when you're making something with them. They roast up really nicely. You don't like how I put it? I would leave them
Just
there. I
have an
think
idea.
it'll be hard to move it. Sorry, you just gotta work within what I set you up there. I think it's too hard to move them. Remember we had those black ones before?
I'm just thinking.
Like the purpley ones?
Yeah. And I've got a bunch of other beautiful things from the garden. I have these beautiful peppers that came from the garden. I have some from the other week. These ones might be a little more mature, so maybe I'll take some of those.
Spicy.
Do you think we should put some on or no? Maybe half
Do
of it?
the yellow one.
The yellow one? This one?
Or the yellow ones.
Oh,
Those
these
are-
ones. These came in the Clover seasonal box.
They're
These are from
less
Kitchen
spicy.
Garden. They were called aromatic. What are they called? The Caribbean pepper?
Maybe.
Something
the other
like
one was
that.
the carrot pepper. I remember.
The carrot pepper was very hot, but this one was not. It was sort of
No.
fruity,
Yummy.
pleasant, and it was sort of like a habanero without the heat a little bit. So let's do that one to Clementine's request. And
Is there any?
what's that, me?
Is there any?
More big ones? Here, you want to do a couple of these peppers? I'll get you another larger tomato. Oh, keep this half of it's going to be different. Sorry, I didn't even tell you that yet, did I? Let's keep over here. Alright, those look awesome. So you see the way this dough is, that the cherry tomatoes are like setting into it a little bit, which is really fun. Because what's going to happen is these guys are going to explode a little bit as they get roasted. And they're going to burst and their juices are going to settle around there and intermingle with the dough. It's going to be really nice. Alright, and we have some flowers. There's a couple other things to add here. So we have here are some purple basil flowers. You want to spread some of those? Okay. So Vats can help me with those. We also have chives here from the garden, and I just grabbed some of the things that were available to me. If you're trying to create these at home, I would say just work with whatever it is you have. But a lot of these things are harmonious because they're ripe at the same time. Yeah. And then, do you guys think we should leave this free of cheese, or do you think we should add some cheese? The other ones are having cheese for sure. This one I wasn't sure about.
Will this side have cheese?
Yes. Maybe we do this one vegan. I'll just leave that without cheese. I think it'll be delicious. I'm gonna now hit it with some more olive oil.
A lot of olive oil.
Yep.
Alright.
So let's
So
put
what's
some,
this side gonna be?
and then we're going to get some salt on there, and lastly, we're gonna put a little bit of fresh pepper on there. Okay, so that one is ready to go. The next one, so that's like, I don't know, our cherry tomato pizza. Should we do this one? Does this look good? You want to do one of those yellow ones too?
This one's pretty.
You want to do this one? It's a big one. Well, let's do a little, because you're going to be surprised. I'm going to show you. Once I slice these, they're going to fill up that pizza really, really fast. So when I do the tomato on the pizza, I don't like it to be too thick. So I'm going to take out I'm going to core the tomato like that. I'm going to slice out the end. If you're watching the other shows this week, you can see some of those things. Now, I'm going to cut the tomato relatively thin. Not super thin, but thinner than I would for a sandwich. There it is. And now this is what This is what I was saying. You'll see it's going to really fill it in fast. Now, let's get this one in there. Whoopsies. Careful there, sweetie.
Sorry.
You alright? I didn't get you, so
No.
everything's alright. Alright, and then we're going to do the same with this. When you're cutting the tomato, you want to use the blade to cut the tomato. You don't want to push down. If you push down, you'll crush the tomato. Awesome. Alright, that looks really pretty. Let's put that in there. Let me just tuck a couple more in here. Okay, think that would fit? Like that? Squeeze this last little piece in there. Alright, and this pizza is going to get some cheese on it. So we have here Maplebrook Farm fresh mozzarella. I tried a little bit earlier this summer to make my own mozzarella, and I determined that I need a heat-proof glove to pull it off, because I kept trying to reach in and pull the mozzarella and make it into a ball, and it kept being like, ouch, ouch, it's too hot. And then we would turn it down and it wouldn't turn into a ball, and then we'd try to reach in again and be like, ouch, ouch, it's too hot. So I'm looking forward to actually making a successful mozzarella ball, but I haven't yet done. So in the meantime, we're thankful other people have the right equipment and know what they're doing. But mozzarella, if you don't know, is a really relatively easy cheese to make at home. You do need the heat-proof gloves, but it takes about 5 or 10 minutes. It's very easy. I think it also helps to have a microwave. A lot of the recipes I've been reading about, people use microwaves. All right, so we've got some mozzarella and tomatoes on this side, and this also needs some salt. And when this comes out, we'll put some fresh basil on it. But we won't put that on until it comes out of the oven. Should we put some what?
Chives.
No, no. This side won't have chives. This is going to be a very simple pizza. So this is going to be ready to go. We're going to put this in a very hot oven. So our oven's up at like 475 or so right now. Basically as hot as I trust my oven to go. And that's going to get started. It's on convection setting if you have that option. But we're basically just trying to get all the heat moving around that pizza. All right, bye. This next pizza we're going to do, what are you thinking about?
You kind of cut it like.
Yeah, do you think we should use the rest of that mozzarella with the next pizza, or do you think we should make like a caprese salad? Maybe we should make a caprese salad. I think that'd be yummy. Alright, so for the next pizza, we're going to put this tomato sauce on it. It's going to be really, really yummy. And this is so good. Sometimes I'm tempted to do just that and nothing else. But I think today we have a lot of other really
Do
fun
we have any of that
summer
vegan cheese
ingredients.
left?
I don't know. Violet, you want to see if we have the vegan cheese? It'd be in the middle, top drawer, middle.
What's the vegan cheese?
We had
Like
this vegan
slices?
American cheese that was slices, and we actually liked pretty well. Clem's right; it was good on that style pizza.
Yes.
So I have an ear of corn on the cob, and whenever I cook this, I always try to save any
In the
extras
middle.
because we love to eat it like this, and the chickens love to eat the cob. So this is going for the chickens, who are hungry right now because they ran out of food. So they're going to be very happy about that.
Is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it.
That's it. Bye. All right. So we'll do a little bit of those slices. I don't know. Clementine loved
Oh,
it.
so good.
I liked it. I don't remember.
It was good, like melted on
Yeah.
the pizza. It melted.
So what we're going to do here is I'm going to put this on. I'm going to be a little bit careful because it's going to be fairly watery, which is okay. Because we haven't cooked this at all. It's like fresh tomatoes. And the reason I said I'm going to be a little careful is I'd like to avoid getting the tomato under the pizza. So actually I like its wateriness and I like that it's fresh, but it's just going to be a very thin application of this. I'm just going to try to keep it, oh, I messed up, didn't I, Vi? It's okay.
Yeah.
So it's just
I
a
like the bubbles.
nice little bit of that tomato on there. Looks awesome. You like those bubbles?
They're really
All right.
fun.
So next we're going to, let's put some corn on there. Would you get the cheese grater, Vi?
Cheese grater?
Yeah. So got some corn on there, and then just looking over, see what I've got behind Clementine. This beautiful little squash. I love it if you can get yourself a little squash like this. I love this for pizzas and things like this because you can. Yeah, isn't it so pretty? I think it might be called a Zephyr squash. I can't remember for sure. This one is not. This one is from Linden Tree. But I remember liking these a lot. So I'm cutting it into these little circles, which I think will be really fun to lay out on this pizza. These are sort of geometric pizzas. You can see I'm like having a lot more fun with placement of the toppings than we usually do. We usually just throw them on there and they're beautiful, but these ones I think it's fun to like make patterns and stuff. Of course, yeah, you want to lay those out. And that looks awesome, Violet. All right, so I've got some cheese here. I'm going to grate up. Okay. There you go. I love it, Vi. It's awesome.
Are we doing a half pizza again?
Yeah, we're going to do a half, and then we'll do the vegan cheese on the other half.
Oh. It's really cool how I've never done it.
Yeah, that's a pretty fun way to do it, huh? Sometimes when we're making these really big pan pizzas, splitting them in half like this lets us do some different toppings. But you're right, we haven't done this way for a while. I've got here Parmesan. I think Romano works really well for this too. That first cheese I put on was cheddar, which is not a traditional Italian topping at all, but I love cheddar cheese and I love the way it is when it melts. And I love the sharpness to it, so this is, I use it often on pizzas. And I think that mixing it with a little bit of Romano is ideal. I don't have any Romano, I just have this Parmesan, but this is going to be really fun too. Parmesan pillows on there, huh?
Yeah, it's very fluffy.
Very fluffy. All right, that looks fantastic. And now we're going to top this side, and this one's going to be a super simple one. This is you could use American cheese slices. These are not. These are a vegan cheese slice.
Ooh, fun.
You want to try some? Yeah. You split the half so you fit on better. Want to do that? Awesome. Yeah.
Good way to use
Great.
it up too.
Yeah. I actually think that's pretty fun. And then we have some more chives here.
Could I use this?
You want to help with those? So this time I cut the chives much more fine. Which I just think we'll just do a gentle little distribution of those over here. Okay, there we go. Bingo, we are ready. We've been doing a lot of pizzas on the show. I don't know how many times we've done pizza, but one thing, generally with most styles of pizza, it's good to go easy on the toppings. I think it's very easy to overtop the pizza. You can end up affecting the way it cooks, and also it can be a little less enjoyable. So sometimes I think there's like an attraction to just putting lots and lots of layers of toppings on pizza. Most pizza crusts don't work that well with lots and lots of layers on them. So we sort of have a little restraint, and we get on there what we think we need to, and not a lot more. Make sure you've got a little bit of salt every time you're using tomatoes. Yep, we put salt in the tomato sauce. And we're going to go ahead and put this guy in right now. Let's see if I can show you that one that's already been in there for a little while. So you can see it's coming up really nicely. Doesn't that look good? Now that's got to cook for a while more. So, yeah.
What's the salad you have
Oh, caprese. Well, I was thinking we'd make like a tomato salad with that. Should we set that up? Sure, why not? This will be a little bonus. We're done with the...
Oh, is it the...
It's like slices of tomato and slices of mozzarella.
It sounds more like a salad.
You don't think of this as a
It's
salad?
called caprese salad.
Like, what? That's a salad? Yes, it is a salad. Alright.
This tomato will be good.
That one will be beautiful, so. Yeah, biggest, juiciest, most showy tomato.
Also pretty.
I'm gonna come in here and
Ooh, we could do like one of that.
take that top off like that. Come over here. Now, this is awesome. I'm gonna show you guys something. See this? Right here, there's a little bad spot, but you know what? It's not a big deal. We're just gonna cut it out. I've been trying to emphasize these this week on this show and also on other shows. It's often the case that you can find little bad spots in vegetables and fruit, and most of the time, you can still use it. Yeah, I'm cutting these a little bit on the thin side. Sometimes I like it really thick, and sometimes I like them more thin. Today I was like feeling thin.
Thick's good in like sandwiches.
Thick's great in sandwiches. That's a good point. These ones, we're gonna do it pretty thin. So, boom, boom,
Ooh, we usually
boom,
like...
boom. All right, and there we go. So I've laid those out. And now when I'm cutting my cheese, I'm going to aim to cut it in pretty thin slices as well. I feel like I want a lot of surface area to touch my tongue with both the tomato and the cheese. And so if I make it too thick, I'm getting more of like the bulk of it. And what I really want to do is like taste that the interface, that surface of it when it touches my tongue. And I think that's looking awesome. And now we're just going to go ahead and take these slices. This is a salad that probably most people watching this have had before. Hopefully you guys love. Violet doesn't think it should be called a salad. Many of you may have made this at home. I think it shouldn't feel too scary to take this on at home. And the main things I'll tell you is just try to use a really great quality ingredients. And this is what's really special about this. It would be very hard to go out right now to a restaurant and get a caprese salad that's going to taste this good. And it's not because I have some magic talents, but it's just that these tomatoes are really, really beautiful. There aren't very many restaurants that are going to serve you a tomato like this. Hey, Blue.
Yeah.
And this cheese is a really beautiful cheese, and there's not many restaurants that are going to source a cheese like this. So just using really beautiful ingredients can let you make something that tastes awesome. Yeah. And we get to use some basil from our garden. Oh look, I almost forgot. I grabbed some different. I grabbed some different kinds of basil, which are fun. So I've got some Thai basil, and I have a lemon basil, I have a Thai basil, I have a sweet basil, and I have a little spider. And I have
Basil plants are going
a red basil. So I have a lot of different basils.
Yeah.
I also grabbed a rosemary. I was going to make a rosemary pizza, but I forgot about it. And I think I even grabbed sage, but now I'm remembering that I've forgotten to do that.
Basil smells the best.
Now, there's a couple things, like hints I can give you. One thing you could do with the basil is you could just slice it up into thin little strips.
This one smells.
When you slice up the basil, you bruise it, which actually makes it more healthy for you. When greens start bruising, they produce compounds to protect themselves from the damage. And those compounds are antioxidants and other related compounds that actually are really healthy for our bodies. So bruised lettuce, bruised basil, it's healthier than not bruised. That said, often people don't like the look of it. So if you want to avoid that bruised look, what you can do is you can grab the basil with your fingers and tear it into little pieces. We want littler pieces because if it's huge, it'll just feel like a mouthful of basil. And so we want it to like amplify the tomato experience. We don't want it to like distract you. But if you tear these with your fingers, they tear naturally along some lines, and they don't end up causing that bruising reaction. So you can end up with basil that will stay very green and pretty looking,
How do you bruise it?
yet a little less heavy, healthy, I should say. So I'll show you the alternative. Is you go ahead and take a few of these and go like this, Violet.
That's not bruised.
So you can see it's already starting to brown a little bit. See the bruising is like the darkening there, Vi? And what will happen is this will darken more and more. And in an hour, this will be like all the way brown. It won't be bad for you. Like I said, it's actually going to be more healthy for you, but it doesn't have the same visual appeal as doing this with your fingers. So it's up to you, whatever you want to do at home. I think for me, I might make a different choice depending if I'm having people over or just doing it for myself. And also whatever the dish is and what I think is sort of harmonious. We want a really beautiful olive oil. It's another thing that you're going to be willing to spend $20 on a bottle of peppery, delicious olive oil. This is the time to get out your really good olive oil. And it's going to be harder to find that at a restaurant. Yeah. Because nobody wants to pay for super expensive olive oil at restaurants. I'm just putting a little, so we've got all different kinds of basil in here, which is fun.
It's really pretty.
Now, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to finish this with some salt. So, I have some sea salt. Whenever we go traveling, we buy salt. I think this salt is from Nova Scotia, but I think it's a fun thing to bring back. Yeah. We're always going to use salt.
There's
And
some
so
Peruvian salt, right?
we have some Peruvian salt in there. We have some salt from Utah. We have all different salts in our cupboard.
Did we bring back Japanese?
I think we did bring back Japanese salt. Yeah, I think you're right. And so the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little pepper on it. This is an unusual pepper, but it's a kind of pepper. I think this is something my sister gave me. It's got like a little bit of a, how to describe it? It's like, yeah, how do you describe that? It's like It's like a little bit of a sweetness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not quite like cinnamon, but it's got like a little sweet tone to it. All right. That looks really yummy. This is one of Clementine's favorite things of the whole year, so I'm sure she's standing there patiently behind the camera, but licking her lips and can't wait to eat it. And I think it's something we all really love from this time of year. So just wipe this area clean.
We could save some of that basil you chopped up to put on the pizza.
Oh, you know what? That would be a great idea. Although we have lots of pieces. What's that? Well, I am wasty, but it's okay. It just came from our garden. It's just going to go into the compost. It's fine. What's that? It's in the sink. Well, I'm going to grab it all from the sink with the tomato skins and get it into the compost. Here we have our pizza cooking. We're going to want to keep going because it's not all the way cooked in the middle, and I want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. But you can see it's coming along really nicely. I'm just going to spin it around in case there's some hot spots in the oven. And let's see the one below. You can see that one puffing up really beautifully as well. And that gives you a sense of the style that we're doing here, which is like, it's going to be like a puffier, chewier pizza. I think it's really fun. I really like this kind of pizza as a leftover, so we'll eat some of that tonight. It's made with the fresh ground wheat, so it's going to be super filling. So like a square of that's going to be like very satisfying. And what we'll do is we'll save up a bunch, maybe put some in the freezer and some in the fridge, and be really yummy like picnic food or something to grab tomorrow. I think that's going to be it for the show today. I'll grab these in, probably give these another 5 or 10 minutes to cook. I'll show you one more trick. So if you watch the bread episodes, you may have remembered that we were testing the internal temperature of the bread to try to figure out when it's complete and done. Well, you can do the same thing here. It's not that different. And I'm just putting that in at an angle. I don't want to be measuring the bottom of the pan. I want to measure the temperature of the bread, the dough. And you can see it's getting up to like 190. I'd like to hit about 200. Water boils at 212. When my internal temperature gets near 200, I'm getting close to a point where most of that water has started to come out. And I'm getting to a place where I'm forming some of those networks in the dough that give it that like very satisfying feeling in your mouth. So we're getting pretty close. We'll probably give it a few more minutes. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back. I don't know when. We did a whole week here. We're probably going to take a little time off, but stay tuned. We'll have some more episodes coming up in the future.
Bye.
Bye.